Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something that every woman wonders at some point. How do you really get a man to be loyal? Because let's be honest, loyalty is the foundation. Without it, you don't have trust. Without trust, you don't have peace. And without peace, love cannot grow. Now, here's the truth nobody tells you enough. If you want loyalty from a man, you don't get it by being prettier than the next woman, or cooking better, or competing with what's out there. You get it by making him feel safe. A man's deepest loyalty isn't to the woman who looks the best in the dress. It's to the woman who gives him a place to lay down his soul without fear. Respecting a man's vulnerability is one of the most underrated yet most powerful foundations of loyalty, trust, and love. We often think of men as strong, solid, and unshakable, but the truth is, beneath that armor lies a human being with emotions, fears, insecurities, and moments of doubt. Society conditions men from a young age to hide those softer sides, to avoid showing weakness, and to always man up. As a result, men often suppress what they really feel. They carry unspoken pain, unhealed wounds, and unexpressed fears. And when they finally decide to open up to someone, especially to the woman they love, it is not a small act. It is courage. It is trust. It is giving you access to the most delicate and fragile part of their being. But here's where many relationships falter: when that vulnerability is not respected. When a man finally shares something from his heart, and it later gets thrown back in his face during an argument, or used as ammunition to prove a point, that moment of betrayal can seal him shut. He learns, sometimes silently, that it is not safe to be vulnerable in that relationship. And once a man learns it is not safe to share, he doesn't just stop opening up, he starts pulling back in every way. His trust weakens, his loyalty wavers, and his love feels guarded. Respecting vulnerability, then, isn't just about kindness, it is about protecting the bridge that connects two souls. When a man feels that his vulnerability is respected, something profound happens inside him. He begins to see you not just as a partner, but as a safe haven. You become the place where he can remove the heavy armor he wears in the world and simply be himself. And that safety breeds loyalty. A man will remain loyal to the person who sees his scars and still loves him, who hears his fears and does not judge, who knows his past mistakes but does not define him by them. That kind of loyalty cannot be manufactured. It is earned through consistent respect for his openness. Let's imagine this more vividly with an example. Picture a man named David who has been working hard to build a business. He has poured his heart, money, and energy into it, but things are not going well. He hides his stress from everyone because he doesn't want to look like a failure. One night, he sits down with his girlfriend, Maria, and admits something he's been too ashamed to say out loud. I don't know if I can keep this business going. I feel like I'm letting everyone down, and sometimes I wonder if I even have what it takes. This is a raw, vulnerable moment. For him to say those words means he is lowering his guard and risking rejection. Now, imagine two responses. In one scenario, Maria gets frustrated and says, well, maybe you should have thought this through before wasting money. You always get in over your head. She might think she's being honest, but what David hears is judgment. That single comment becomes a dagger to his heart, and from then on, he decides not to confide in her about his fears anymore. His silence grows, his loyalty begins to shift, not because he doesn't care for her, but because he no longer feels emotionally safe. In the other scenario, Maria pauses, looks him in the eyes, and says, baby, I know it's hard, but one failure doesn't define you. I see how hard you've been working, and I believe in you even if this business doesn't work out. You're more than your success or failure. You're enough. Those words become a shelter for David. In that moment, his shame eases because someone he loves validates his worth beyond his mistakes. His heart feels safe in her hands, and his loyalty deepens. He now associates her presence with comfort and strength, not judgment. He will fight harder for her, love her more fully, and remain faithful, not out of fear of losing her, but because she became the one place where he never has to fear losing himself. This is the essence of respecting a man's vulnerability. It is not about agreeing with everything he says or ignoring mistakes he may have made. It is about protecting his courage to be honest with you. Men are not accustomed to showing cracks in their armor, so when they do, it is a sacred offering. To mishandle it is to crush trust. To honor it is to build unshakable loyalty. Respecting vulnerability also means practicing restraint. In heated arguments, it is tempting to use what you know about his insecurities to win the fight. But every time that happens, the relationship loses. Because what you win in the argument, you lose in intimacy. If you want loyalty, you must be disciplined enough to never turn his honesty into a weapon. Instead, you must hold it as if it were fragile glass, something valuable, something to protect. Over time, the way you treat his vulnerability shapes the way he treats yours. When he feels safe to be open, he will naturally create that same safety for you. That's how mutual trust flourishes. The bond grows stronger, the loyalty grows deeper, and the relationship becomes less about surviving and more about thriving. The truth is, men may admire beauty, respect intelligence, and enjoy fun, but what makes them stay, what binds their soul to yours, is the assurance that their deepest truths are safe with you. When a man knows his heart can rest in your hands without fear, his loyalty will not just be given, it will be fiercely protected by him. So respecting vulnerability is not a small detail, it is the foundation of loyalty. The way you respond in those raw moments writes the story of how deep your relationship can go. And if you want a love that lasts, a loyalty that cannot be shaken, then remember this. When he finally trusts you enough to be vulnerable, treat it like the treasure it truly is. Because in that space, you don't just hold his words, you hold his heart. Celebrating a man's efforts, not just his wins, is one of the most powerful ways to build loyalty, respect, and a deep emotional bond. Many people underestimate the weight of consistent appreciation. Society trains us to focus on results, on trophies, promotions, big paychecks, or visible success. But life isn't just about outcomes, it is about the countless hours, sacrifices, and small acts of persistence that lead to those outcomes. When a man feels like his grind is invisible or only acknowledged when it delivers a victory, he can start to feel unappreciated, undervalued, and even replaceable. But when his partner notices the effort behind the scenes, the sweat, the struggles, the attempts, the things that don't always make it to the finish line, that's when loyalty blooms. Because deep down, everyone wants to feel seen, not just for what they achieve, but for who they are and what they give. When a man is celebrated for his efforts, it tells him something crucial, that your love is not conditional on his performance. You're not only standing beside him when he's winning, you're standing beside him when he's trying, failing, learning, and pushing. That kind of love creates a safe and empowering space where he doesn't feel like he has to earn his worth through victories. He feels respected simply for the effort he brings, and that respect turns into deep loyalty. Because a man will stay faithful, committed, and devoted to the person who recognizes his heart, not just his highlight reel. Think about it. Every day, men are out there trying in different ways, working long hours, fixing small problems around the house, making sacrifices you might not even notice, or taking small steps toward a bigger dream. Sometimes those efforts don't pay off right away. He might not get the promotion, the deal might fall through, or the dream might take longer than expected. But the fact that he's trying means something. If the only time he hears appreciation is when he wins, he may start to feel that nothing he does is ever enough, and that can quietly drain a relationship of intimacy and connection. On the other hand, if you are the one who says, "I see you trying, and I appreciate it," even when the results aren't perfect, you become the fuel behind his fire. You become the reason he keeps pushing, the reason he wants to keep showing up, and the reason he ties his loyalty to you. Let's bring this to life with an example. Imagine a man named Chris, who has been studying at night after long workdays to pass an exam that could advance his career. He's exhausted, juggling responsibilities, and sacrificing time with friends and hobbies to prepare. The first time he takes the exam, he fails. He's embarrassed and disappointed, and he's tempted to quit. Now picture two different responses from his partner. In one scenario, his girlfriend sighs and says, "All that studying and you still didn't pass. Maybe this isn't for you." She may not mean to crush him, but her words dismiss the effort he put in. Chris feels deflated, unseen, and alone. He begins to associate his vulnerability with rejection and his efforts with invisibility. Loyalty in this environment weakens. because the place he should feel most valued becomes the place where he feels least understood. In the other scenario, his girlfriend comes to him after the results and says, "I know this didn't turn out the way you hoped, but I'm proud of how hard you've been working. You've been showing up every night, sacrificing your sleep, and that means more than you know. The fact that you keep pushing inspires me. I believe in you, and I know you'll get there." Suddenly, Chris doesn't just see failure, he sees support. He feels his effort matters, even if the outcome isn't there yet. That appreciation gives him the courage to try again, and when he finally does succeed, he doesn't celebrate alone. He celebrates with the person who believed in him when the world gave him reasons to doubt. That's loyalty in its purest form. The truth is, men are often judged by the scoreboard. Did he win? Did he provide? Did he conquer? But real love isn't just about celebrating the victory dance. It's about recognizing the grind that nobody else claps for. When a man knows his late nights, his sacrifices, his small daily efforts are seen and valued, he connects that gratitude to you. You become not only his partner, but his anchor, the one who reminds him that his worth isn't measured only by what he achieves, but by the heart and discipline he puts into everything. Celebrating his efforts also strengthens intimacy in the relationship. Think about how motivating it feels when someone notices the little things you do. It creates warmth, trust, and closeness. Men are no different. A simple, sincere, "I see how hard you're working and I'm proud of you," can mean more to him than a dozen congratulations after a victory, because those words are not just about the outcome. They affirm his identity as someone who tries, someone who cares, someone who matters. And here's the beauty of it. When you make appreciation a lifestyle, not an afterthought, you'll notice how it transforms him. He becomes more motivated, more open, more affectionate, and more protective of the relationship. Why? Because loyalty grows where gratitude lives. He will naturally be drawn to the place where his efforts are acknowledged, because that place fuels his spirit instead of draining it. So celebrating efforts isn't just a nice gesture, it's a powerful act of love. It tells him you're not just in this for the highlight reel, you're in it for the whole journey, the ups and downs, the steps forward, and the setbacks. And when he feels that kind of steady appreciation, you don't just win his loyalty, you win his heart for a lifetime. When people talk about relationships, they often emphasize passion, excitement, and chemistry. All of those things matter, but what many underestimate is the value of peace. Peace is not boring. It is the foundation of emotional safety. For a man, peace in his relationship is not a luxury. It is a necessity. The world outside is already full of challenges. He is expected to compete, to provide, to protect, and to constantly prove himself. Every day he walks into battles at work, pressures from society, financial worries, and the silent weight of responsibilities. When he finally comes home or sits with his partner, what he longs for most is not another battlefield, but a place to exhale. If his relationship feels like another war zone, he retreats emotionally. But if his relationship feels like a sanctuary of peace, he will fight through any storm to keep that sanctuary safe. That is how deep loyalty is built. Being his peace does not mean never disagreeing or never expressing your feelings. It does not mean suppressing your needs or letting him walk all over you. Being his peace means that the energy you bring into his life is grounding rather than chaotic. It means that when he is around you, he does not have to wear armor or stay on guard. It means you become the calm after the storm, the one place he can rest his spirit without fear. That feeling of peace is priceless to a man, and when he finds it, he protects it fiercely because it is so rare. Unfortunately, some relationships unknowingly become sources of constant conflict. When every conversation turns into criticism, when small issues explode into arguments, when silence is filled with tension instead of comfort, a man begins to associate his partner with stress rather than peace. Over time, he learns to avoid, to withdraw, or to find that peace elsewhere. This is not because he does not care, but because human beings naturally seek environments where they feel safe, calm, and understood. The greatest mistake one can make is to confuse drama with love or conflict with passion. True intimacy grows not in chaos but in peace. Now, let's look at an example. Imagine a man named Jason. He works long hours as an engineer, often dealing with tight deadlines and demanding bosses. By the time he gets home, his mind is drained. In one version of his evening, he walks into the house, and his partner immediately starts listing everything that went wrong that day, criticizing him for being late and bringing up unresolved arguments. Jason feels his chest tighten. He hasn't even had a chance to breathe, but already he's in another battle. Slowly, he learns to dread coming home, not because he doesn't love his partner, but because home feels like just another battlefield. He begins to stay longer at work, lose his patience, and emotionally distance himself. Now picture the second version. Jason walks in after a stressful day, and his partner greets him with a smile, gives him a moment to settle, and says, "I know you've had a long day. Take your time, I'm here when you're ready to talk." Later, when they do sit together, she listens more than she lectures, offering comfort rather than criticism. The issues that need to be discussed are still addressed, but they are handled with respect and calmness rather than hostility. In that moment, Jason feels relief wash over him. He associates home with peace. His partner becomes the person who helps him recharge, the safe place where his battles fade away. That peace strengthens his love and deepens his loyalty because he cannot imagine risking the one place where his soul feels at rest. The difference between the two scenarios is not about ignoring problems versus confronting them. It is about the energy used to deal with those problems. One approach multiplies stress, while the other dissolves it. And when a man sees that his partner is his peace, not his competitor in conflict, he holds on to her with everything he has. Peace in a relationship also creates space for growth. When a man does not feel attacked or constantly judged, he is more willing to open up, to be vulnerable, and to improve. He is more receptive to feedback because it does not come like bullets on a battlefield, but like guidance from someone who genuinely has his back. Peace fosters intimacy because it makes communication safe. It fosters loyalty because it makes the relationship a refuge rather than a responsibility. Sometimes, people confuse being someone's peace with being passive or avoiding confrontation. That's not what it means. Being his peace is about the way you bring truth to the table. You can disagree, but you do it in a way that does not strip away his dignity. You can express your needs, but you do it without making the room feel hostile. You can set boundaries, but you do it with firmness, not fury. That balance is what creates loyalty, because he knows you are not only strong, but also wise enough to create an environment where both of you can breathe. At its core, becoming his peace is about emotional intelligence. It is about realizing that the relationship should be the place where both people can recharge from the battles outside. If the relationship itself becomes the heaviest burden, eventually one or both will break under the weight. But if the relationship is the place of restoration, then no matter what storms come, the bond remains strong. So the truth is simple but powerful. Don't compete with his peace. Become it. Don't make him feel like he's walking into another fight every time he walks into your presence. Instead, let your love be the calm he longs for, the quiet strength that steadies him, and the warmth that reminds him he's not alone. Because when a man feels peace with you, his loyalty is not forced, it's natural. He will protect you, prioritize you, and fight the world just to return to the one place where he knows his heart is safe. Security in love is one of the most powerful gifts you can give to a man. It is not about being flawless, not about perfection, but about consistency. A man feels safe and loyal to a woman when her words and actions align, when he can trust that what she says is backed up by what she does. Too often, people underestimate the weight of consistency. Many relationships collapse not because there was no love, but because there was no dependability. A man needs to know that if you say, "I've got your back," you mean it not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. He needs to know that your promises are not just empty sentences thrown in the air, but anchors he can hold on to when the waters get rough. Words are powerful, but they lose their meaning when they aren't supported by action. A man who constantly hears reassurance but never sees it in practice will begin to doubt. On the other hand, when he witnesses your commitment match your language, his loyalty grows naturally. This is because security at its core is about predictability in love. It's about knowing that your emotions, your devotion, and your respect won't vanish with the first storm. It's about building a foundation so strong that even when the winds of life blow hard, the relationship doesn't crumble. Imagine how the world feels for a man every day. He steps out into a world of uncertainty, rejection, disappointments, and constant tests of his strength. If he comes home to more instability, more contradictions, more empty promises, he is left feeling unanchored. But if he comes home to someone whose words match her actions, someone whose loyalty isn't just spoken but proven, he finds refuge. That consistency becomes the bedrock of his loyalty because deep down, every human craves stability. And for men especially who are taught to hide vulnerability, the assurance that their partner is steady and reliable is life-changing. Let's illustrate this with an example. Imagine a man named Marcus who has been working hard at his job but suddenly gets laid off. This is not just a financial hit, it's an emotional one. His confidence takes a blow, his pride feels wounded, and he worries about his future. He comes home with the news, nervous about how his partner will respond. In one version of this scenario, his partner had often told him, "I'm here for you no matter what." But the moment she hears the news, she panics, criticizes him, and starts questioning his ability to provide. Marcus feels crushed, not just by losing his job, but by realizing the woman who promised support abandoned that promise when it mattered most. He now associates her words with unreliability. His trust weakens, and his loyalty wavers because the security he thought he had was an illusion. Now let's look at the second version. Marcus shares the same difficult news with his partner, and though she feels the weight of the moment too, she remembers what she's always said, "I've got your back." Instead of criticizing, she reassures him, "We'll get through this together. I believe in you, and I know this is just a setback, not the end of the road." In the days that follow, she backs up those words with actions, helping him update his resume, encouraging him in moments of self-doubt, and reminding him daily of his worth beyond his job. Marcus feels safe in her presence, not because life is perfect, but because she is consistent. Her loyalty deepens his own. He realizes that when she says she'll be there, she truly means it. And that kind of security is priceless. It bonds him to her in ways no material gift ever could. The key to giving a man security through your words and actions is not about grandeur, but about reliability. It's the little things that build a strong foundation, keeping your promises, following through when you say you'll do something, being honest, even when it's uncomfortable, and showing up when you say you will. Each small act becomes a brick in the wall of security, and over time, that wall becomes unshakable. A man doesn't expect perfection, but he does expect consistency. If your love is hot one day and cold the next, if your words of loyalty don't match your behavior, he will always feel unsettled. Insecurity makes people question, doubt, and eventually distance themselves. Security, on the other hand, makes people open up, invest, and devote themselves fully. When a man feels secure with you, he doesn't just love you, he trusts you with his heart, his dreams, and his vulnerabilities. What makes this so powerful is that storms are inevitable. Life will bring challenges, financial struggles, health issues, family problems, or personal failures. Anyone can say, "I love you," when the sun is shining, but loyalty is proven in the rain. If your words of support are proven in those dark moments through steady action, you become unforgettable in his life. He knows then that you are not just with him for the good times, you are his anchor in the hard times. That assurance builds a loyalty so deep that nothing can shake it. So giving him security in your words and actions is not just a romantic idea, it is the very core of building trust and loyalty. It is the consistency that tells him, "You don't have to look over your shoulder here. You don't have to doubt my love. You don't have to wonder if I'll leave when it gets hard. I am steady. I am here." That's the kind of security that makes a man's soul rest. At the end of the day, men are not looking for perfection. They are looking for safety. They don't expect you to solve every problem, but they do hope that when you speak of love, it is more than words. It is something they can feel in your actions, because any man can love a woman in sunshine, but only the one who has walked with her through the storms knows what true loyalty feels like. And the woman who has proven her consistency through words and actions never has to beg for loyalty. It comes to her naturally because she has built a love strong enough to withstand anything. Let me give you a quick example. Imagine two women, One laughs at her man when he admits he lost confidence after a failed business deal, while the other says, "Baby, that's just one chapter, not the whole book. I still believe in you." Which woman do you think earns his loyalty? The one who makes him afraid of judgment, or the one who makes him feel safe enough to rebuild? The answer is obvious. Loyalty isn't built in perfection, it's built in safety.